measurements, okay? Our basic measurements that you will need for almost any style you want to sew, for a lady or for a guy, okay? This is for beginner. Most of these, some of them you might not, if you're just beginning, you might not really understand how to impute it, but as we move on, you'll be able to know how to impute it. So I'm actually going to name it. This particular one like this is actually for ladies. As you can see, it's longer than the guys, okay? Because guys, they don't have much things to measure. All right, okay, so let's dive into it. The first thing you see here for ladies, I'm talking about the ladies right now. Now the first thing you see here, it's shoulder or back measurement. Shoulder or back measurement. Some people call it shoulder measurements, some people call it back measurements. Then we have sleeve length, which is your hand length, you know, like your sleeve, the length of the sleeve. We have sleeve mouth, the length of the mouth of that's the sleeve round. That's the round sleeve of measurement that you want to use, okay? How wide you want it to be, how penciled or tight you want it to be, depends on the round measurement that you're going to get. All right, then we have shoulder to under bust. For ladies, we have what we call under bust for ladies, which is under their bust measurement, at the place that their bra normally sits. That's where we have the under bust, and that is where you place your rope. When we move on to measurement, you'll be able to understand it. Then we have shoulder to waist measurement. You place your tape from your shoulder to your waist. I'll explain that when we're measuring. Then we have shoulder to nail measurement. This is important, especially when you're making a gown. All right, it's very important. A straight gown, especially when you're making a straight gown or you're making a 6 pieces gown and all that. It's actually very important because this particular length is actually what will give you a place where you put where you be able to get the shape of the skirts. Okay, if it's penciled, it's from here that start. If it's 6 pieces, 8 pieces, 4 pieces, the shape start from this nail length, where at that particular length you want it to be. So shoulder to full length, especially when you're making a gown or a top. So full length of your gown, full length of your top, it's where you place your tape. Shoulder to full length. Then we have waist to nail length. Waist to nail length. This is most especially when you're making a skirt or a trouser. Making a skirt or a trouser, you need this measurement, waist to nail length, because this is where you alter the shape when you're drafting. Waist to floor length. This is where you're making a long skirt and all that, so you get your waist to floor length. That's your desired skirt length, depends. Then we have bust, round bust. Like you put your tape around for your bust. We're going to explain it more when we move to measurement. We have waist round, we have under bust round, then we have hip round measurement. We have tummy. We have tummy for some ladies, especially when they're on the plus size. You know, some plus size ladies, most times their tummy tend to be bigger than their waist and all that, so you need to get the tummy measurement. But if it is the slim ones where both their waist, their under bust and their tummy is almost the same, then you don't need to put a tummy measurement there. But it's important depending on who you're measuring. Then shoulder to bust or shoulder to nipple. Okay, this is important depending on the style you're doing, on the type of dart you're doing. Also, it also is very important, okay, for the shape. And then we have what we call nip to nip. Nip to nip means nipple to nipple, the gap between the first nipple to the second nipple. This is very important for your darts, for ladies, for you to get a very good shaped dress. This is very important because this is what you're going to use to get your darts, okay? And that is all for the basic measurement. But as you keep sewing, you start understanding the other measurements also that you need to add. But this is the basic one for ladies. So Okay guys, so we're back to the measurements. We're talking about the back. If you're measuring the back, we start from this point of your shoulder to this point of your shoulder. We measure it. For this place, we can have it as 13 depending on what you're measuring, but this is the basic measurement. So we're going to do everything the way it's supposed to be, the basic measurement. So we have 13 for this. So you're measuring your back is starting from this point to this other point, just like this. If you're measuring your sleeve, you can decide to measure your sleeve between here, starting from this point where your back stops, and get your sleeve length. This is your sleeve length. So you can try to get it to your bicep, depending on the length. You can get it to your elbow, can get it to your wrist, depending on where you want it to be. But I don't personally use this to avoid my sleeve being shorter or longer than required. So what I do is I place it on my collarbone here. If you're measuring your customers, place it on the collarbone, tilt it like this, and then you go like this down. I'm going to explain to you guys how to use this method, like when you're cutting your sleeve. So from there you can start to get your desired length down. Okay, the only difference is that you're putting half of your back, so when you're measuring your sleeve, you just minus that half of your back. When we're cutting sleeve, you understand what I'm talking about perfectly. Okay, so now the next thing we have is shoulder to underbust. So we're taking the horizontal measurement right now. We have shoulder to underbust. This is your underbust at the place where your bra sits as a lady. That's where we call the underbust. You place your tape on the shoulder and bring it down to the underbust. Okay, I could say this manicure underbust is 13 and a half. 13 and a half. Let's use 13 and a half. So this is the underbust. Shoulder to waist is still the same thing. You notice I'm passing my tape to the biggest part of the bust. You have to pass. You don't pass your tape like this. If you pass your tape like this, you run short of fabric after cutting because you're missing the biggest part. So you place it like this, you get it you're required. So the waist is this point, the narrowest part of your tummy. Okay, so that's where your waist is. You can measure it to waist, and then here we could say we have 16 as the waist. Okay, then your tummy is to measure where your tummy starts is just to come down to the navel, then you measure it as your tummy length. Okay, that's waist to tummy depending. Then waist to knee length is like this. Sorry guys, you go like this, you go the same way, passing it to the highest part, then you get to your knee length. I don't know why this tape is going off. So you get to your nail length the same way. So you get your nail length. I have 42 for this manicure. If it is your gown length, you just hold it like this down to where you want your gown to stop, your desired length for the gown. Okay, this is just it for that. Then the next thing we have is waist to knee length. Now, when you're measuring, please always remember to be at the side of your customer. Don't be in front of your customer, so you'll be able to get accurate measurement. Now, your waist to knee is placing your tape by the side of your waist, down to the biggest part of your hip, down to your knee measurement. Here I have 25. If it is waist to skirt length, you get it down. If your skirt is the full one, you get it down to where you want it to be. If your skirt is short, then you don't need to even have the waist to knee if it's not getting to your knee. So you just get your skirt length. This is just how you measure your length on it. Then the next one we have is bust. Now we are done with the horizontal measurements. What we're going into now is the circumference measurement. Circumference measurement is the measurement whereby you place your tape around the person's body, which is the bust, the waist, the underbust, and the hip, and all that. Okay, so now to do that, if I'm measuring this bust, I place my tape like this and I go like this, passing the highest part of the bust, and then I have 34. Okay, I have 34. Please always keep be at the side, and then use just 2 of your fingers. It's fine for you to hold your tape so you get accurate measurement. Okay, don't make it too tight, don't make it too loose. Okay, so this is for the bust. For the underbust, at that same place where your bra sits, is where you place your tape to have your underbust. Underbust normally need to be a bit tight, so you get your shape depending on the style you're making anyway. And then from there, you come to your waist. At that your waist point, you place your tape, and then you get your waist. Waist is like 25 if it's your tummy, but tummy depends. It's for those plus size, those people that have big tummy, that you notice that their tummy is maybe bigger than your bust, than their bust and all that. They need to measure their round tummy, so you'll be able to get accurate measurement for them. Aside that, if it's just a flat tummy like this, you don't need that. Your waist is okay. So then the next thing we do is the hip measurement. The hip measurement, you place your tape by the side, the highest part of the person's back side. Okay, you place it from here. I'm getting 40, so but let's check if 40 is okay. Notice that 40 cannot really pass down that much. We can do 41. 41 is not too tight and it's not too loose, so we can use 41. So as you're measuring, you should be able to release your hand and then increase your hand or reduce your hand as it stands. Okay, the next one we're looking at is shoulder to nipple. Shoulder to nipple measurement. Okay, so now shoulder to nipple measurement depends on what you're showing, but this is particularly for you to know where to place your bust when you are placing it on your fabric. When we go to fabric, you'll be able to understand this. So for this place, I can say this is the nipple. I can make it 9. Shoulder to nipple, I can make it 9. Okay, then you measure your nipple to nipple. This nipple to nipple is particularly very important for ladies, because that is how you will draft your dart. Without that, your style will be shapeless, your dress will be shapeless. So depending on what you're making anyway, it's not every style that you put that, but if you're making all this fitted and nice, this you need your dart. So you measure your nipple to nipple, the space, the gap between the first nipple to the second nipple. Okay, so I could say that this particular one is 7. Okay, so this is it. So that's the nipple to nipple. And then we've come to the end of the ladies' own, which is the basic borders block measurement that we treated. Okay, so this is it. Thank you guys. We'll move to the guys' own very soon.